Hello, I'm Sigrid Tafjord, and today I'm gonna show you how I drew this. Puppy portrait. Throughout the video I'll talk about drawing supplies, techniques, and how to get you in on that fur action. Plus, I will tell you what I'm drawing next week, giving you the opportunity to request a subject for that subject matter. Leave a comment and I'll try to implement it in next week's commentary. Today this dog is 13 years old, but I was commissioned to draw her as a puppy. In the reference photo, she's sitting on a staircase. I asked the client if there were other elements I should implement in the portrait, and I then learned that she had a favorite spot. We decided to use that as the background, so this is actually made up of two different photos. The size of the pup is not completely correct in this setting, but I hang that on artistic license. I believe that when drawing a portrait, you follow the reference to a large extent, or it wouldn't resemble the subject matter. When that is said, I always try to put the reference away at the very end and enhance certain parts of the portrait. That way it doesn't just end up looking like a photocopy. Drawing white fur can actually be a bit challenging, but today I'll break down the methods I used in this drawing. Even though the fur is white, it is actually built up of different tints. The challenge here is that your tonal range is quite limited. The low level of contrast makes it hard to see the transitions. It's easy to get lost and end up with grey or dirty looking fur. But even this light fur needs a bit of layering to look believable. There's also the challenge to get it to stand out from the background when it's as light as this one. I think the two most important things to remember when drawing fur are making sure that you follow the direction of the fur and that the length is correct. Also, don't be afraid to draw dark shadows if these are present in your reference. In this piece, I use the eraser a lot, both my kneaded eraser and the Tombow mono eraser. Oftentimes, this leaves the markings a bit too bright, and it doesn't always taper like fur would. I have two methods for softening the transitions in this case. Sometimes I go over it with a light hand and a piece of cloth or paper. This will leave a soft layer of graphite on top of your white lines. If you then go over with the eraser again, you build up layers, making the fur more lifelike. I also like to use a 2H pencil to soften the transitions. This gives me more control than the cloth, being able to vary my lines or just lay it on the side to get smooth shading. I always make sure that I remove all the eraser crumbs before going in with a cloth or a pencil. For this I'm actually using a makeup brush as I don't want to touch my drawing too much. I have found that even touching the bare paper might leave fingerprints due to the oil on our hands. These will show up when laying down graphite, especially when using a tissue or a brush. When I draw, I lift up my hand every time I move it, but it is definitely best to rest your hand on a piece of paper, as you will see me do in most of my realistic portrait time-lapses. Doing this prevents you from moving the graphite around on the surface, leaving a muddy-looking mess. In this drawing, I sometimes cover the whole surface of an area to establish a ground layer. In my reference photo, these areas are a bit out of focus, and the fur looks to have some soft transitions, combined with some harder shadow lines. To get this effect, I used a kneaded eraser to lift up the graphite and map out the lighter areas, giving me some shapes to work with. I often zoom out on my reference so I can see the photo as shapes of light and shadow. This helps me to be consistent in my values, and it gives me the courage to leave out the details we cannot see, as it is so easy to want to draw what we know is there, rather than what we actually see. The other tools I'm using in this portrait are just regular drawing pencils, ranging from 2H to 8B, and my black polychromos from Faber-Castell, which I totally love. I also use a tissue paper and a paper stump to smooth everything out. So now that you know my tools and methods, sit back and enjoy the rest of this drawing. And don't be afraid to ask if you have any questions or requests.
like a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together, it's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
I hope you found this useful. Next week, I'll be drawing 2 horses. Remember to leave your request below and stay tuned for that one. See you next time!